Hi everybody, I'm Aimee Nolte. Welcome to Aimee Nolte Music. Today I'd like to talk about the half diminished chord, or the minor 7 flat 5 chord. You can write this chord both ways. You could write, like say we're going to write C half diminished. We can write C and then a circle with a line going through it diagonally. Or we could write C, M-I, flat 5. Now usually when we're talking about minor chords, I will tell you that the standard notes to play in a voicing are the flat 3, the flat 7, and the 9 and the 5. Now in a minor 7 flat 5 chord, the flat 5 is different than the 5, right? So you've got to play that note in the chord so that you know that it's a flat 5 chord. The 9 is something that you might wonder about, and I'm here to tell you that it sounds really nice if you just keep the same 9 as you would in a minor chord. So let's say that we're talking about A minor, a lot of white notes, easy to learn. If we're playing A minor, we're going to play, here's our root, we're going to play the 7 and the 3, or the flat 7 and the flat 3, and the 5 and the 9. They sound great. Now here's the cool thing. All you have to do to play an A minor 7 flat 5 chord, or A half diminished chord, is just flat the 5. You can keep that 9 and it sounds great. Listen to it. Isn't that nice? I've spread them out. Flat 7, flat 3, flat 5, and 9. But it's really nice in a closed voicing as well. If you put that 9 and the flat 3 right next to each other, that gives you a great rub. Let me show you close up. Let's look at the tune Autumn Leaves. Let's say that you're going to approach Autumn Leaves like you have a bass player and you're in charge of the melody and you're in charge of the left hand comping. So you've got a bass player, you're just going to be comping with your left hand and playing the melody with your right hand. C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7. Here it comes. Here is your A half diminished chord. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that flat 7 there, the flat 3 there, the natural 9 there, and the flat 5 there. Can you see it well? It's like this. G, B, C, E flat. Okay? There's a really nice rub right there. It might sound bad to you if you're just getting into jazz, but for those of us that have been around a while, it's beautiful. And especially when you add that bass note. Gorgeous. Now a good way to resolve this to get to your D7 altered chord, because anytime you have a 2-5-1 in a minor key, your 2 chord is always going to be half diminished. Your 5 chord is always going to be altered, and then your 1 chord, of course, is minor. So if your 1 chord is G minor, your 2 chord is going to be A half diminished, or A minor 7 flat 5. And then your 5 chord is going to be D7 altered. And then there's your minor chord. So there are a couple ways, well, there are quite a few ways. But here we are with our half diminished chord, right there. We can do this one. This one takes the 7 of the half diminished chord and drops it to the 3rd of the new dominant chord. Okay, so that's nice voice leading right there, G to F sharp. It also keeps this note because it's common to both chords. It's the minor 3rd of the A half diminished chord, and it's the 7 of the D7 chord, okay? So just like that, and then we've got this note that's the flat 5 of the A half diminished chord. And we can keep it if we want to, because it is common, right? There's a D7 chord, and this just makes a flat 9, which gives it that alteration that we're looking for. When I say altered, I'm talking about moving the 9 to either a flat 9 or a sharp 9. Okay, so this or this, and I'm also talking about moving the 5 to either a flat 5 or a sharp 5, okay? So there are all these possibilities, but they all come from that half diminished chord. So here's your half diminished chord. If we're doing this one, this is cool. We end up with the sharp 5, that's a B flat, and we end up with the flat 9, which is an E flat. If I'm being very correct in my theory, I would call this an A sharp, actually, because that's the 5 of D major, right? And we're sharping it, so A sharp. And then we go to our G minor chord. The other way to do it is you can keep that sharp 5 and come up here to give us the sharp 9, which is technically E sharp, okay? Okay, that one sounds great as well. That's how I would voice those 3 chords. You can also, from your half diminished chord, you can add a flat 5 if you want, and maybe a sharp 9. That sounds pretty cool. Let's try it with the flat 5 and the flat 9. There we go, right? We're going to keep this note because it's the flat 9. And then we're going to move to the flat 5 here, and we're going to keep our 7 and 3rd. That one sounds fantastic. What other alterations haven't we done? I think we need to have the sharp 5 with the flat 5. Ooh, that one sounds great. Okay, so we've got all those possibilities, but really, every one of them has launched right off of our half diminished chord, just this way that I tell you to voice it. Cool. All right, so let's consider, what if we were playing Autumn Leaves as a piano solo? You see my half diminished chord there? Now, there are so many ways to play Autumn Leaves as a piano solo, and that's a topic for another video, I suppose. But just to show you different ways to voice it, that's how I've approached it right here, okay? So here's where we have it. Okay. You could do it this way. You have your root, 7, flat 3, flat 5, and 9. You can spread them out like that. Sounds great. Underneath your melody, as long as you've got your melody. Okay? But once you've got this 9, it needs to resolve somewhere. So I think that your easy choice is right here to the sharp 5. Right here's where it is. So wherever you place that 9, it's important that it resolves somehow. I don't really like this one. I think it's too close to the melody. It's right there. Let's try it a different way. Let's put it here. Ooh, look at that. I'm missing a note, aren't I? It's not so important. Like, I think it sounds pretty good without it. If you just play the 9 and the flat 3rd right there and the flat 7. But we could add it here, or we could add it here. Let's try. Okay, so there's my 9, and I want it to resolve, so I'm going to make it resolve to the sharp 5. I was a little late. But there it goes. Okay, let's try again. Now it can also resolve up, okay? So minor 7 flat 5 chord with your natural 9. Another way that it can resolve is to come up to the 7 of the D7 chord. But I do think that since it's such a rub, it needs to resolve somehow. Okay? There are other ways to voice half diminished chords, for sure. I'm just showing you my very favorite today. One more thing you can do to make it even more fun, I think, is to add the 4 or the 11. So if we're talking about A minor 7 flat 5, we've got the flat 7 and the flat 3 and the flat 5 and the 9. If you add the 11, which is a D, it gives so much more power to that chord, I think. It's such a nice rub. I love it. Let's put it in the middle of a tune. Okay, let's talk about this 11 now. Here it comes. This is our chord, but I said we should add the 11, right? So look at this, all 4 notes right in a row, how pretty that's going to sound. Isn't that rich? We've got our 9, our flat 3rd, our 11, and our flat 5 all right together. And then we could go right to our D7 altered chord from there. I think that one's gorgeous. I really like it. Let's space it in another way. Let's go ahead and put the flat 5 down here, and then we've just got this rub. That one's really nice too. And now let's treat it like it's a left-hand comping thing. So we're and here we go. Remember before we were going to hop up like this. Now we can just add that note right in there. It's a little tricky with your fingers. So let's think of a better way to do it. You could put the flat 5 on the bottom. That's a little tricky. I would use my thumb probably to play both of those, but I like how that sounds. Doesn't that sound good with the 11 though? I really like it. With the bass note. Now let's say we're playing and all we're doing is accompanying somebody. We don't even have to play the melody. We don't even have to play a solo. That really, really widens what we're doing. It widens our range of possibilities. So if we're keeping this 11 idea, we can play the 3rd and the 7 down here. We can add this flat 5. We can have the 11, and we can put the 9 on the top. That's a great voicing. Doesn't that sound good? And then we're going to have this resolve, go this way. That's a good one. So we've got the D7 chord. This is the sharp 3, or the major 3, the flat 7, flat 9, sharp 9, and sharp 5. Both 9s in there sounds great. Okay, so let's do that again. So if you're just comping for somebody, it lets you spread things out. You can have a lot more options. You could put the flat 5 on the bottom again. You could do it that way. You can just kind of mess around with the order of these notes and see what you like best, what sounds the best. Maybe you want to put the 9 on the bottom because you like the way that rub sounds right on the bottom. It's totally up to you. If you were doing that, you might do this. Oh, I love that one. Put the D on the top, the 11 on the top. But it's so cool because you've got these essential notes to the chord, the 3rd and the 7 and the flat 5, and then you're adding 2 color tones, the natural 9 and the 11. It's gorgeous. So there you go. Just 2 very simple ways to add some color to your half diminished chords. You play the natural 9, you play the 11. You've got whole new colors for these chords, and it sounds very advanced and beautiful, I think. So I hope that you can take this and add it to your playing and that it can help a little bit. Thanks so much for watching Aimee Nolte Music today. I'll see you next time.